So in recent news, Keir Starmer has appointed Sue Gray to work for the Labour Party. Who is Sue Gray, the Partygate investigator headed for top Labour job? Sue Gray, the investigator of lockdown-busting parties of Boris Johnson's government, looks set to join Labour as Sir Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff. If I'm honest, it's not one of those stories that most people would particularly care about. It's probably one for the politicos like me. So I'll break down my thoughts on it and its wider meaning. Sue Gray was a member of the civil service. She also headed the investigation into Partygate, as we know, something that a lot of people do care about. The civil service is supposed to be impartial, so this recent appointment from Starmer is questionable to some. That includes me. I think this is a complete self-owned by Keir. Boris was riding high until Partygate, which in turn brought down the beginning of the end of his premiership and the destruction of the Tories. Obviously, the final nail in the coffin for Johnson was promoting a known sexual predator. Nice. But Partygate really sowed the seeds of Tory meltdown. This has just handed the Tories a huge attack line that Partygate was politically motivated. A lot of us saw this coming.
And that is, I do think it is a peculiarity, let me put it that way, that the person who conducted the inquiry into what went on in Number 10 and the Cabinet Office, who was presented to me as a person of complete political impartiality with absolutely no political axe to grind whatever, has just been appointed the Chief of Staff of the leader of the Labour Party. I mean, I make no comment about it, except to say that I'm sure people, may want to draw their own conclusions about the confidence they can place in her inquiry, or the motives behind the way she conducted her inquiry and into her report.
It is hard not to feel that she is being rewarded, offered a plum job for effectively destroying a Prime Minister, creating a coup.
Now, it's not true, of course, and statements from Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson and other right-wingers are ridiculous. But we live in a post-truth era, so that doesn't really matter. What matters is that Starmer has single-handedly given credence to a ridiculous conspiracy. Most people see this as a bad move from Starmer, apart from one demographic. No surprise, the liberal agro-centrists are pissing themselves at this. They think it's smart politics. This is from centrist lovey David Aranovich. The outrage against the Sue Gray appointment is truly pathetic. I wonder if the real objection to her appointment is that she doesn't appear to have gone to school with Starmer, isn't a banker, and hasn't lent him any money. David, I think you need to keep up with more recent events, such as Starmer courting wealthy backers, those like Lord Sainsbury and others. Labour is just as much as the party of the rich as the Tories. Someone who's a bit more respectable, Michael Crick, had this to say on Twitter. Sue Gray's appointment shows very poor judgment by Starmer and by her. And surely a chief of staff needs sound judgment more than anything. Michael is correct. It's not a good look and throws the impartiality of the civil service into doubt. Now, aside from all of this, the real issue here isn't optics, but rather the ridiculous political system we have. With a lack of a true opposition, Westminster is just back to a circus where it's all a game. This type of politics is eaten up by the commentariat where they get really hyper excited over non-issues because what they actually hate is a genuine debate on the ideas of this country, which is what the poor middle-class journalists had to endure under the last Labour leadership. But now they're back to their comfort zone of creating false conflict and writing about intricate Westminster stories whilst the working class still suffer. This also provides evidence that Keir Starmer isn't smart or grown up. It's a stupid mistake that was entirely on him. Despite trying to appease the Westminster nerds with its internal politicking, he has not only thrown doubt onto the civil service, but has completely bolstered the right-wing conspiracy that the most establishment political party, the Tories, are actually fighting against the establishment, which is somehow the left. The reason why Starmer is seen as smart and grown up is simply the fact that he has cozied up with the wealthy elite, and as long as they're happy, that's all that matters.